Hey everybody, Benzaga here. It's been about a week since my last development video, and like I said, I'm going to try to do these maybe weekly, if not more often, if there's interesting things to post. But basically, a lot of stuff going on. So last time I was saying how I was using Dungeon Architect. I started adding some more, interesting looking walls. So this is like the outside wall, and then I've got like an inner wall section that is independent of that. And the more I think about it, I might not do that. I don't know. I'm trying to think of a case where the inside and the outside will look different, and I don't know. I mean, maybe I can change the color of it or something like that, and maybe it's not worth having two different sections, like one outside, one inside. But either way, I might combine them into one. And so with my Dungeon Architect, I've got two sections. So I've got inner walls and outer walls, and there's some specific use cases for each one. And so, I mean, maybe it's good to split them up. I don't know. I'll have to just review it at a later time. But so yeah, at the last time we were talking, I was showing how these walls would intersect with these corner walls, and I didn't like that, and I wasn't sure if I was going to try to prevent that or not. And I found a good way to do that. And so, yeah, let me show you how that works. So the way that Dungeon Architect works is it has these spatial patterns, and so with this one, basically it says that if it's got like some walls here, then or if there's no walls here actually. So if there's no walls on any of these parts, then it will use this double wall that just kind of goes the full length. So now we've got to restrict these other ones. So now we're saying that if this one has a wall, then use this wall, and then, or if it has a wall on, below it, then use this wall. And then on these ones, it says if on the other side. So it's like, because it doesn't rotate it around, and so it basically cuts off like each side. So like, for example, on this side, it'll use this one, and then on this side, it will use the other one. And so that way it's positioned properly between the two. And it works pretty good. So I really like that. The other big thing is I started working on a fog of war, or like a lighting kind of system. It's basically like a fog of war, but it's like a 360-degree thing. And let me pull that up. Actually, I was watching some YouTube videos on it, and No Plan B does a similar thing to what I wanted to do. And so I was trying to figure out how they did it, and I actually, shout out to Sebastian, because I actually emailed him and asked him if he could give me some like tips on how he set this up, like the different masks and things. And he actually sent me a project folder that kind of shows how he did it, and which I really appreciate. I was able to kind of track down like what I was doing wrong, and kind of compare what he had to what I had. And I think it's kind of funny. I think we all kind of watched this same tutorial series that Sebastian Lee put out on how to do this stuff, because when I looked at everybody's code, like everybody's code on the internet is almost identical to like how this guy set it up. And so shout out to him. I also did this tutorial, and ultimately none of them really did what I wanted to do. And so I kind of looked at a bunch of stuff and kind of came up with my own thing, which is kind of what I usually end up doing anyway. I like to get examples and then kind of build upon them. And so, yeah, without further ado, I'll go ahead and push play. The other thing I did was I'm using Unity's new backend service for authentication. And so I've got Google Play and Steam set up already. So right now it's currently in Steam mode. And so you can see I've created my own little compile define symbol that says like if it's Unity Steam, then it's going to use the Unity Steam authenticator, but then if it's Android, it'll use the Android authenticator. But anyway, so yeah, I've got that implemented, which was such a hassle, to be honest. The instructions that they have on Unity says just to go to the package manager and just add it through the package manager. And so I go there, and in the Unity registry, it just wasn't listed there. And so it was really frustrating that it didn't work the way it said it was supposed to work. And so what I ended up having to do was use the manifest and manually edit the manifest, and then it was able to pull it. But anyway, the other thing is I've got, so the way all this stuff works is I have like a Bootstrap install system where I have all of these different services that, I've got like a screen manager, an event service, like an authentication service and stuff like that. And so what happens is it goes through and installs everything, and it throws up this title screen. And then some of this stuff, like this kind of stuff, shouldn't be here, but I'm just have it here because I'm just like doing prototypes and tests and things. But normally this kind of stuff wouldn't be here. So normally it would just hit play, and then it would load, and then it would like do something like pull some data from the back end or something, and then it would present me with my stuff. And so, but since I'm just cheating here, I've got the character controller already in the game. And so what I've got going on with that is basically it says that when the start gets called, it first is going to wait for the auth service. And so the auth service, once it's authenticated, then it adds itself to this my references. And then so I'm waiting for this to be there, and then I have like a promise that will dispatch. And so it says, okay, so wait for the auth service to be there, then build a dungeon. And so then I build a dungeon. I start this coroutine that says to wait for a nav mesh. And so this whole thing is actually built using the dynamic nav mesh system that Unity has. And so it's pretty cool. And so what happens is, because this is existing in the scene when I hit play, but the dungeon isn't, so it waits for the authenticator to authenticate, then it waits for the dungeon to be built, and then once there's a nav mesh there, then it does its update stuff. And so here I've got, give me 1 second, it's in progress, and so there's like some bugs on this little gamepad. So let me, I'm using like an input controller where it's using touch inputs or mouse inputs. And so let me disable this one because it's not on horizontal, and there we go. So you can see like how this actually works. And so this is kind of my idea is that, we've got this fog of war, AKA light system, where the player can see. And, it's kind of cool. You can put it around like these little objects and stuff like that if it's got like a obstacle mask on there. And so that's kind of what I was able to do is, so these little components, like where the dungeon walls are, you can see that they are on the default layer, which means that it will be picked up by the light, And so then within these, though, I have a little box that's has the layer of the fog of war obstacle. And if I change it, you can see like, it's basically just a little collider that just says it's blocking light, And so if I move this up a little bit, like I could move this collider up, and you can see it'll start to like, block the light. And so that's kind of how this is all working, is that I'm able to see my materials on my wall, but then it doesn't go past it because the little colliders are blocking the light. And so that's pretty cool. And so, that's basically how that works. And then, let's see, this thing, you can see the field of war, fog of war mesh that it's generating as it's moving around. And so that's using that tutorial that Sebastian League made. Similar to it, I modified it a little bit so it's 360 degrees instead of like a starting point, ending point, and stuff like that. And then I also modified some of the shaders a bit, and I also added a UV coordinates. Not that I'm going to use them, but it's possible. And so let me kind of show you some settings and some different things you can choose from. So the camera is basically just a solid color. You can change the clear color and stuff like that if you want, but I just chose black because, for example, like when there is nothing in the screen, I didn't want it to be like a weird color like this, and so I just chose black. And so like you can do whatever you want with that. Now the camera I chose with my shader is that it's picking up this custom render texture, and it's seeing this mesh that it's generating, and then it's applying this viewable mesh to this camera texture. And so we can change the color when, so for example, if we just want it to be totally black when you can't see it, or dark when you can't see it, then we can change that texture. So this is like the shadow color, basically, is kind of how you can think of that. It's like, this is the color of the shadow when you can't see anything. And so basically you can change it to like, whatever color you want, like based on the theme or based on like the situation that you're in. Like if you want it to be, a certain color for some reason, I wanted that option basically. And so I made it to be able to do that. And then the other thing is this light color. So I wanted to be able to offer different colors of lights for some reason. Like let's say, for example, I wanted it, maybe for different holiday themes or something like that. Or if somebody likes like, a different environmental situation, I can like change the light color just to have like a dramatic effect or something like that. And so I basically, wanted that as an option. And so, so it picks up on the color of, this mask object, and uses it as part of the coloring of the scene. And so I really like the outlook of this. Now the other thing, so if you notice here, on these cubes, so let's say I'm like over here, and I'll shorten. I also wanted to do something like when the player first begins, maybe they only have like a little bitty torch that they can't like really see very much. And so this is like your view area. And so you can see right here that these objects are still, they're highlighted even though they're supposed to be invisible. And so that's something I'm working on. I haven't implemented it yet. But so the idea is that if they're outside of your view, then I'm going to shut them off so like you can't see them. And so then when you get closer, then they'll turn on once they're within your light range, then they'll turn on. And so, yeah, so that's kind of a thing, is that, right now they're just on all the time, but I'm going to make it so that they turn off like similar to the other things in the scene, like the doors and stuff like that. And so I'm still thinking about how to implement lighting, like just basic lighting, like if I want torches and stuff like that. I'm trying to think of the best way to do it, like with this system. If I want this to cover them up, and then like you can only see them when they're here, like they light up just like everything else, or do I want them to be, their own kind of light source? I'm trying to decide, how that's going to work. And so with this system though, it's pretty cool. So I could put on, similar to how these little cubes are visible like this, I could do something like that where the torches and stuff like that could appear, outside of the mask. And so that's, an idea I can do. But anyway, so yeah, that's where I'm at right now. I created this lighting system / fog of war type thing. The other thing was I thought about adding a texture to the mask. That didn't really work out that well. If I change it to like mobile particles, additive, and then I could add, I also purchased this lighting pack, but it's like 2D and it doesn't really work with what I'm doing, so I can't use it. So I thought this would be cool at first, but then I realized that it's applying it to the actual mesh and not like masking like the total. So it doesn't really work the way that you would, I was hoping. So like if we look at this root object, you can see that it's applying this texture, like it's too small, and I might be able to do something like scale it up or something like that, but I don't know. It just didn't seem like it was. Actually, that's not a bad idea. Let me see if I can do that real quick. So we'll go here. We'll go like 0.5. And then maybe negative 0.5. Or maybe just 0.5. I mean, I might be able to do something like this, actually. Let's see. That doesn't look too bad. Oh. I'll have to mess with it, because it would be cool to get something like this cool lighting effect, like within this, if I can use this properly. Let's see, tiling. So I need to go like that. Like that. Okay, so 0.25. 0.25. I mean, this is basically what I've been doing, is just kind of messing around with some ideas and saying, yeah, see, it still does it though. So it's like, because it knows that the shape is like a this cone kind of thing, it applies the material to the whole shape, and it looks kind of weird, like when you're approaching the door, to have it suddenly narrow like that, because it knows that it's narrowing. And so I don't know. It's like it needs to apply it to the projector, not the projector material, not the camera material, you know. And so I don't know. I'll have to mess with it and see if I can find something else out, because that does look pretty cool. Like, if you get a cool effect like that, where it looks like you're like walking through with like shadows and stuff like that. So I don't know. It looks pretty cool, but I don't know. I'll have to mess with it. I might have to do like two of them, like two projectors, like one for the ground and one for like the above stuff, you know, so that way it doesn't block out. Like you can see here where it's got like, even without this lighting thing, you can see that it's got, you know, like it's blocking the other side of the door, and I don't know if I like that or not. You know, I don't know if I want it to be, you know, these things to be on top of the mask. So I don't know. I'll have to just mess with it. But yeah, overall, I'm super happy. I have been able to export it to Android and mess with it on my phone as well. And so it's kind of cool to see it play through. But so I guess from here, what's my next plans? Well, I'd like to finish at least a couple of these tile sets. You can see I've got just basically some walls. I didn't do a lot of this, you know, these corner pieces and stuff. You know, I'd like to, you know, some of this is part of a set I purchased. These walls I made myself with Pro Builder. And then, so I want to get like a few sets of these dungeon sets, and then maybe start working on some AI and some enemies. Right now it's just got, you know, I do have the nav mesh in there, so I can use the nav mesh agents and things like that, which is pretty cool. And so that's really good. And then, so maybe I'll start doing some AI, start doing some like spatial things, you know, to know like which room I'm in. I don't know if Dungeon Architect has anything like that set up, but I'd like to know, like, you know, as I'm progressing, like which room I'm in, and maybe have like a start room and an end room. You know, where I can place the character. So like when the dungeon's built, I'll place the character like at the starting room, and then, you know, that way he has to walk through and get to the goal. And then at the goal room, you know, have some kind of, you know, thing happen where either like a boss room before the goal room, where you have to beat the boss, and then you can go, you know, leave the dungeon. You know, just I have to like, come up with some kind of mechanic like that. You know, aside from, you know, building the meshes and building the rooms and building the content, I also have to have some kind of like objectives, like for the player to like go from start to end and like, you know, beat some enemies, have some abilities, have weapons. So yeah, there's a lot to do. I think that once I start building out the rooms a bit and have something a little bit better as far as like the torch and the lighting and stuff like that, I'll start working on AI and start working on weapons. I do have some things from another project that like abilities and stuff like that. So originally I did have the plan of having like some action abilities. So like you can move around and you can hit like A, B, and C type of thing. You know, or your default attack. That's why there's like these error messages, because there is no ability assigned to it. But what I think I'm going to do with this game is I want it to be like really casual, and I want like people that aren't super into like combat games and stuff like that to be able to grab it and play it. So what I'm going to do is make this, right now you can see this is anchored in the bottom left of the screen. I'm going to make it so you can just drag anywhere. So like anywhere you just mouse down and drag, like it's going to turn into your controller. And so whether it's over in this side or not, or wherever it is on the screen, like if you tap and then, or you know, press down and then move, it basically becomes your analog stick. And that's how I want to program this. And then if you tap, then that's going to become your button, like your action button, you know. So like, and it depends on what you're looking at. So if I'm over here and I'm looking at an enemy, and I hit attack, it's going to attack the enemy. But if I go somewhere and I like click on a door, then it's going to open the door. Or if I go and I click on some kind of like a resource node, like mining or a tree or something to chop down a tree, like based on what I'm looking at, when I hit my action button, it's going to do whatever action is associated with that. And that's what I like about this is, so anywhere you click on the screen, that's your action button. Like, so wherever you're looking, wherever you click, like if I tap the screen right now, my plan is to make it do an action, like an attack or something. And then if I drag, then it's moving. So drag to move, tap to attack. Drag to move, tap to attack. And wherever I'm looking at, that's where I'm going to attack. And so it's got to be within my range, and it's got to be, it doesn't necessarily have to be within my weapon range. Let's say I have a ranged weapon and I hit attack, it'll just shoot out. But let's say I have a melee weapon and I hit attack. Like if I'm looking at something, I'm going to try to make it sort of walk over to it and then attack. So I want to make it really intuitive. So anyway, that's my plan. A lot of stuff coming up. I got a lot done this week. I'm super happy with the way things are going. If you have any questions, comments, ideas or advice or anything, just feel free to leave a comment. And I appreciate everybody who's made these tutorials on Fog of War, and I appreciate Sebastian League and the other Sebastian from No Plan B, for hooking me up with some examples. Otherwise, I wouldn't be able to have this in my game currently. So I appreciate that. And yeah, thanks for watching, and I will chat with you later.